Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
What time is it?
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Now Myers to win the league, yes!
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Werewolves of London.
Cannonball!
Well, hello and welcome to the Below the Rim show, a show dedicated to the BBL. I'm Pabs. I'm joined, as always, by my main man, Ads. How are you, sir?
Wolf-like.
I'm also joined by the brave heart, the northern correspondent, Mr. Grant Young. How are you, Mr. Rocks On Podcast?
Mr. Rocks On Podcast is doing really good, thank you. Cannot complain. How are we all?
Good, man. Yeah, we're all right. Mr. Nicholson is here as well. We're not super sub anymore, really, are you? You're the super intendant.
I'll take that.
The media guru. There he is, Mr. Nicholson.
Ooh, hello. That's a new title. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I wondered how long it was going to take for a wolf pack to come up, and well, it was officially 2 seconds. So good job, Ads.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the
It's
intro.
just nice to see.
You guys won't hear the
nice
intro.
to see, yeah. Well, it's just nice to see other
Nice to be
people from
noticed.
this panel shaking things up for a change and it not being me causing problems.
Well, we may talk about that as we go. Io's meant to be joining us. He's only just got home from work. He will definitely, I would have thought, have an opinion on the events that unfolded. I can only really talk about what happened on Twitter because I don't listen to the BBL show, but there you go. Shots fired. We are going to talk about expectations, our specific expectations, and what we think expectations should be for each and every team in the BBL. Now, I'm going to be mindful of time on this one because I've got to get up early in the morning. So if we start going over an hour and we've only done 5 teams, this will become a 2-parter. So this could be a 2-parter. It might not be. Some of the teams, as we look down our notes and whatnot, it might not take very long for us to kind of decipher what we think the expectations will be. We'll find out when we get there. Anything you want to bring up before that?
Sorry, I'm too busy looking at something. Sorry.
just one thing before we get started on this from me. I'm not going to sit here in my Patriots top. All right, coming up to payday. All right, just about to start preseason. You think I'm going to put my guys down on any position other than up there? You got another thing coming.
Good. I didn't expect anything less. Do you want to comment on the French tour? Because there was a little bit,
big time.
Weirdly, a little bit of negative kind of feedback, opinion on it, which I found a bit strange.
That's a bit mental, really, isn't it? We've got a pre-season trip to France. We're going over there and we're playing I think it's like a third tier team, and then followed by 3 teams from Pro A in a tournament, which is an organised tournament. So we've got that coming up. So it's going to be a good level of basketball. It's pre-season. You know, I don't know how anyone can look at that in negative. You know, if I look at pre-seasons of past, well, you got Wales and you play Surrey, and you know you play some Division 1 sides or whatever, and teams start going abroad to play pre-seasons. That's brilliant. Let's play to the level that we want to be at, right?
Absolutely. Well, it can only be a good thing, can't it? I mean, we said just before the podcast came on, these teams that what you would perceive as a higher caliber top French team, they're going to be in a different situation to you guys. Patriots,
Yeah, for sure.
Patriots squad is what it is. They're more likely to have 4 or 5 players that they're trialling and want to see if they're up to muster. Not a finished article at all. Whereas you guys are actually, this is your build up for the squad we're taking into the season.
Yeah, no one's got the BBL Cup or to do the preseason friendly, right?
Yeah,
that's what it used. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, there's the group stages and everyone used to chop and change players and all that sort of stuff. You ain't got that now. So we've got high level games. We come back from France and we got a couple of other teams that we could be lining up against. You know, the most preseason games that I can remember are from being involved down in Plymouth.
Yeah,
playing high level opposition. It's great, brilliant.
Can only be good. Anyway, let's.
I don't understand how anyone can moan about that. Like, I'm struggling to find any grasping knowledge of let's test ourselves against teams from other leagues. Let's test ourselves from teams that play a different cultural game of basketball. Let's test ourselves against other non-BBL teams. Like a few seasons ago, I say a few, it was Sterling Davis was still coach, that Rocks had, when Tony Garbaletto was coaching in Germany, Tony brought his team over to the UK to play against Rocks on a Saturday and then a Sunday. Both teams in different situations. Tony was obviously playing different systems. Rocks were playing different systems. Guys getting fit. It's all good for the teams, good for the league, good for clubs, good for everyone. There's zero. I cannot see any complaints other than the fact I would not want to do a night boat over the channel.
Hey man, I've got a 7-month-old baby. Get me a night boat over the channel. I'll sleep like you wouldn't believe.
They won't
trust
let
me.
you. You'll have Sharpie moustache drawn on you and all sorts. An eye patch.
You'll be cuddling the Americans.
Yeah. Listen, just with the mentality of that kind of thing, it's almost like you're like Grant said, test yourself against teams that aren't in the BBL, test yourself against teams that are perceived higher kind of worldly rankings than you are. Why not? But to say, well, you won't compete, it almost is like, well, let's not bother then.
And what are you trying to compete in? It's a pre-season friendly.
But I mean, but you get the idea, you get the principle. It's like, oh, just leave it then. We'll just carry on the way we are. What's the point? It's like, I mean, it could be like the Riders' opinion this season in Europe. We don't expect they're going to conquer Europe in any way. Let's not bother then. But that's not the point. It's the same principle. Yeah. Fellas, Anyway, let's. Io's about to join us. Let's kick things off. Let's go alphabetical order through the league and just give us some idea of expectations of what we think and what we think should be an acceptable finish or an acceptable season for these teams. Bristol Flyers first. Last season they finished 4th. In terms of sign-ins, there's a relative amount of kind of the unknown. Miller's coming back, Mike Miller, who they missed for the majority of that season last season, but when he did come back, he was a real impact player and he really made a difference to that squad. And in all honesty, they were a quarter away from the playoff final and got hit with a barrage of threes from Dirk Williams et al. In the Lions, and they took over the game. But they were in that game up till the last quarter of the second leg. Who wants to kick us off with what they think should be the expectations of Bristol Flyers team and fans and whatnot?
I can jump in, and I think the expectations, but even before any signings, should have been high because they've been progressing every year. They've had, last season was a very positive season for them. They've got rid of Trajan Jacob. Trajan Jacob's gone, Raf's gone, Marcus Evans gone, Zach Simmons gone, Shane Walker gone, Josh Rogers gone. That's a lot of minutes gone.
Yeah,
a lot of on-court minutes have left Bristol Flyers. So they now have to step up, see what these guys are like. VJ King, ex-G League. Interested to see how he does. G League is normally tailor-made for the BBL.
Yeah.
But as a fan, you should be expecting them to be 4th, 5th, right? Surely. And anything else? Flyers. Well, no, as a Bristol Flyers fan, you should be expecting that. Because if you're going to keep progressing year on, which they should do, that's what you would expect as a fan. Me, personally, I think they've got rid of too many minutes to be there. I think they've gone from rebuild to growing to rebuilding again. Yeah. So I think they're going to drop back down, and I think they're going to be around about that 7th, 8th spot towards the last 5 games of the season.
Ads, my man.
Yeah, I'm just reading about VJ King, and what makes me really excited is that he was a 2016 McDonald's All-American.
Ooh.
And that's a very, very high badge of honour to have. So yeah, quite excited to see this dude for sure. I mean, Paul's summed it up really. There's been a lot of players exit. It's a shame that Raf's gone. He's become a bit of a stalwart of the Bristol Flyers. I believe he's gone over to Germany.
But that's confused me, right? He's just had the best season he's ever had in the BBL. The best season he's ever had. He's now on everybody's talking point.
Well,
And he's gone to be an assistant coach, and he's not like an old player.
No.
He wasn't injured.
Is he not playing as well?
No,
He's coaching in a women's
the
team.
women's team, is it not?
Yeah, women's team assistant coach.
Sorry, who is this?
Rafael
Rafael.
Edwards.
Rafael.
Yeah.
The human consumption machine Io has joined us. Io, my man, you good?
How you doing? Apologies for my tardiness.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, just got home and had to do a few things. Needed something to eat.
Actually, Raf went to the Southwest Slammers. So he went over to Australia. No, Australia didn't he to play in the summer?
Yeah.
So he goes to play summer league in Australia and then stops playing.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to check in. I mean, Raf obviously is lovely lady and friend of mine, Sam Roscoe, is playing pro in Germany again next year, and she's obviously based in Australia as well. So,
okay, that makes sense.
It looks like they're kind of doing things as a package, I guess, which is great.
Family first, fair enough.
And,
but he's a big miss.
Yeah, he's a big miss for the league. I mean, we're all big Rafael fans, so we wish him luck in his next venture for sure.
For sure. I think for me the elephant in the room is once again the elephant in the room when it comes to really good players having to leave the top league in the United Kingdom, and that is down to finance.
Yeah.
This ecosystem, finance, opportunity, and situation, blah blah blah. Because if he signed to London Lions, right, is he leaving? No, to do that, quite possibly not. If he's one of the top players on that team, 1 through to let's say 8 or whatever. If he's at Leicester, is he leaving like that? Is he leaving and somewhat retiring? Whatever. If this is ACB, if this is Easy Credit BBL in Germany, if this is LBA in Italy, or is he doing that? And for me, it's 98%, 99% of the time is no. I think although the salary cap has been removed, that doesn't mean that every team will have this huge, bucket load of money to spend on players. Yeah. That's not the point. It will allow more maneuvering. It will allow more opportunity. It will, removing the cap will allow teams to be a bit more creative and adventurous with who they sign and so on and so forth. But it doesn't mean there's an increase of money. Not for the most part,
it only really affects London.
Yeah.
I mean, it affects every team, but it's dependent on what team has what in their back pocket, and obviously London. Obviously, London have quite a bit of money in their back pocket. Obviously, the likes of Newcastle have their own money in their back pocket and blah, 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 blah. Obviously, the likes of Leicester and whatever, even though they're known as somewhat of a frivolous club, with respect, understandably so, because quite a frugal club, understandable. And they've balanced the books. They've balanced the books, pretty well all these years, very, very well.
Yeah.
Look how far they've come, and it's commendable. But at the moment, Bristol Flyers aren't that,
Well, they've announced 12, right? And so far they've announced 12. 3 are academy guys.
This is the problem.
One's Leslie Smith, who's been out for over a season. I love Les, but he hasn't played for a while. One's from NCAA D2.
Mm-hmm.
So they've probably got a couple more bodies to bring in, but you can only base it on what we know so far.
It's a tough one for Bristol. I mean, I don't know. I think I lamented about this several seasons ago, a couple seasons ago, on this podcast, whereby I really enjoy what Bristol Flyers organization do. I enjoy what they do as an organization. I'm not a fan of what they do on court. It just feels very hush posh, sort of kind of thrown together.
It's weird
to me. And don't get me wrong, I could be way off, and all the Bristol fans and Bristol employees listening to this might be scrunching their face, thinking, "What are you talking about?" Which is understandable. I'm on the outside, but not I'm a neutral. But I love what they do. Their podcast, their content. Even down to their jerseys, their design.
Joel's
they
great
put
on the
out,
media side.
What they apparently they released a couple of seasons ago that they're building towards having their own arena and fine. I love all that stuff, but what aggravates me as a neutral is really off the back of what Paul said, and kind of it's slightly bit of an extreme of what Paul said to me. For me personally, I feel that they're rebuilding every season and there's not enough continuity. And don't get me wrong, that's partly due to the ecosystem. I get it. It's partly due to what we had prior, which was the salary cap. I get all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it still feels put together every season. I'm expecting a horde of signings, for Bristol every season. I'm expecting no less than I'm expecting no less than 7 or 8 players, and it's like,
which is madness for continuity.
I'm never, and because of that, as a
like
result,
I said, look at the minutes that they've lost now.
Exactly. My what do you call it? My expectations always are very low of Bristol, with respect, because that they because of what they have to deal with every season, trying to build chemistry with practically a new batch of players every season, a new 90%, 80% roster every season. And it's tough. It's tough for them. It is really, really tough. And coach, he does a really, really good job, especially trying to get their players, new players, to buy into his defensive system, his defensive mindset. I get it. But it's tough. It's really tough on them. I really hope that the removal of the salary cap means that, or could possibly mean a bit more continuity going forward from this point. I hope so, because the league will get better structurally. I'm not talking about personnel wise and player personnel wise. I'm talking about structurally. I'm talking about the actual product in itself and how it's sold and how it's received and things like that. It will get better. I really do see that. And I really want Bristol to be one of those, blue blood, real clubs that people look to and say, yeah, that I want to. I don't want to go to London.
Yeah,
I don't want to go to Leicester. I want to beat London. I want to beat Newcastle. I want to do that at a Bristol, because look at what Bristol's got. Look at what Bristol. But I really want to see that from them, because the stuff they do off court, unfortunately doesn't. No, sorry, the stuff they do on court unfortunately doesn't match the high standards of what they've done on court. Sorry, what they've done off court. So it's I'm a neutral fan. I want the best for them, but just off the back of what Paul said, it's tough. It's tough for them because they're rebuilding every season.
Grant, my man, expectations for the Flyers?
I suppose most guys said it. They finished so highly in the league last year, close to making the playoffs. I'm one that will, and so their fans should be happy and thinking, well, we should look to be top 4 again. You'd maybe say top 2, maybe 3 are teams in the league, or maybe far ahead of it. Maybe there's a gap between the 3. I mean, my 3, I think are the top, but my expectations for Bristol is similar to Paul. I think they're going to drop back. They've got mass roster changes. None of their Americans are the same. They've got like half their roster between the height of 6'4" and 6'6". So they'll play a certain style. But I also think, and Kapoulis has obviously been there since 2006 or whenever, and he's been there their full tenure in the BBL. When did they decide as a ball club to make a change in that sense? I personally don't enjoy. I don't want to see people have a job and all that, but I wonder if that organisation could take another step forward with maybe a coach change.
Oh my God!
I just think they're just the same. I honestly don't see them making any higher than 7th in the league. And actually, in my predictions, I've put them between 9 and 8, 9, 10 in the league. So
I agree.
I think regardless of what they do off court, I think on off court they seem to be still talking about this new arena. When does talk start breaking ground? Sharks now even seem further ahead of them now in terms of actually getting this new arena started.
In less than 18 months, they'll be here with a new arena. Less than 18 months.
The Sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that tells you something. You're talking of Bristol have been saying it since they've come in the league.
Yeah, but they put it out. They put the little mock-up, the graphic out like 2 seasons ago. And don't get me wrong, listen, I'm not in the construction business, so I don't know.
There's a lot of red tape, but the guy owns the land. Mr. Lansdowne, he owns the stadium. Obviously, the Bristol City Stadium.
I don't know.
Which they're intending to build on the end of. So you'd think it would be something. But Grant, you touched on Coach Kapoulis' impact and maybe the call for a change at that area, that position.
I agree.
The thing that
it's tough to say when.
Go on.
Sorry, Pabs. On you go. No, on you go.
Well, as I was going to say was, if I was a Flyers fan, I'd be disappointed that they haven't seemed to have capitalised on what they did last season, by which they haven't. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It's very difficult, but there is a trend at that place that the key players, they don't stick around. They go. Whether they're using the BBL as a stepping stone, whatever, whether it's how they interact with the coach, because we hear things. We hear things from players. Josh Wiltshire's been on the podcast and has mentioned friction between him and Coach Kapoulis, and he's not the only one. Daniel Edozie obviously was stripped of the captain's, whatever you call it. I was going to say captain's armband, but that's more of a football thing. Mid-season, and that didn't go down very well. That was kind of a weird choice. But last season, like I said, they were a quarter away. Like, they were in the running for that final. In the semi-final, they were a quarter away from making the finals. London Lions blew them away in that fourth quarter, which we all expected them to do. But they were there or thereabouts, and they did all that. They finished fourth, having had a season really marred by COVID. They had players plagued with injury, and they still managed to get to that fourth position. I know the league was close, and there was like 2 points between 7th and 5th or whatever, but to not capitalise on that and to come out this season and effectively I'm the same. The expectations for that club is 8th as far as I can work out. They want to make, you want them to make the playoffs as a fan, and I don't really expect them to finish a great deal higher. There is an element of unknown, obviously, because they've got a bunch of new players coming in who we've not seen. You can stats are stats, and All-American McDonald's All-Americans or whatever is what it is. We don't know how that equates. So I would have wanted it to be 4th or higher based on last season, but yeah, the expectation I think is playoffs. Hopefully, 8th, battling for the last playoff spot.
I guess.
Which leads us to the Cheshire Phoenix. Last season, finished 6th, had a really bad start to the league campaign. Did okay, I believe, if I remember rightly, in the cup, and actually, had a decent run and a. Was it the cup or the trophy that they won?
The trophy.
Yeah.
Trophy.
Riders were Cup. So they they've always got that in them. They kind of always make me think that they're a team that's capable of a good cup run or a good trophy run. No matter who they come up against, they always recruit well. Signings wise, they have, and had it been a normal BBL season, the guys they've recruited could well have seen them finish 2nd. Do you know what I mean? That calibre of player they've brought in all in one kind of swoop, you could expect them to finish top 4, but it seems obviously Lions have improved considerably. We'll get to the Eagles, but they're a little bit unknown, but we know the calibre of that. The Riders will always be up there, and the Giants now, which we'll get to as well, have improved dramatically. So whilst they've done a good job recruiting wise, it would seem, although we still don't know where Teddy Okorafor is going, which I would hope he'd stay there. We'll find out. But who wants to kick us off on this one? Nicholson's shaking his head. Go on.
I don't see where Teddy goes, because they've already got Teague and they've got Larry Austin Jr.
Well, Larry Austin played off of Teddy last season as a 2.
Yeah,
Is Teague not a forward?
Teague's a forward. They got Danny Evans. They got Danny Evans.
Oh right, yeah. We've not said much about Danny Evans. Yeah.
So
and then Marquis Eaton as well.
They finished 6th before. I kind of see the team round about the same spot. If I'm honest with you, Neymar Wright is gone. Big loss. Levi Bradley was good for him. Kyle Carey is out. You know, Osharobia, solid big in the BBL for sure. If he's got the right guard with him, Will Neighbour, if he can stay fit, dangerous, stretches the floor. But I can't remember the last BBL season where he lasted the full season.
Correct.
And I love Will to bits. I think he's a great dude. But I cannot remember when he last completed the whole BBL season, and that worries me a little bit. David Olf, solid role player. Yeah. The big sign is Larry Austin Jr. Bringing Larry Austin Jr. back is the big one for them. That's the big one. Has their team got any stronger than last season? I don't think so. Not yet. They still got players to announce, but the loss of Neymar Wright, have they got?
Don't forget they picked up Jamal Anderson.
Yeah. Solid defensively for sure. Yeah, big player and good offensively. So, maybe that's is that an upgrade on Neymar Wright though?
Defensively, maybe, yeah.
Scoring though?
Well, this is the underrated part of Jamal Anderson. He can score.
Yeah. He can score. Don't get me wrong. I rate him highly. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not overly excited other than Larry Austin Jr. I'm thinking pretty good team. 6th, yeah. Where they were last season.
Tough crowd. Grant, my man?
I think with Cheshire, though, we got all quite excited early on because they announced a lot of players very quick.
Yeah.
Quite early, they made their moves, and we kind of all said the same thing of, let's wait and see what else they do. Not having someone of Teddy's quality, you then bring into question of how will they replace someone of that level, that kind of skill level, and that kind of guy that can just do everything on a basketball court. There was times when we saw that they were down and out and Teddy just put the whole team on and said, I'm not losing this by 30, and just drove the team on. I think as an expectation for them, they always look to do well in cup competitions, so they'll probably target the cup or the trophy as going something they can get through the rounds and one-off games. But I think where have I put them? I've put them probably about 8th place in the table. If they've still got guys to announce, then I'm curious to see where they fit in. They've got a lot. They've got Larry Austin. They've got the guys Marquis Eaton. Lloyd Daniels was a bit of the strange signing because I think he's a D2 guy. I'll just double check to make sure I'm right.
NCAA D2.
So he's a D2 guy. Okay. Teagues is an interesting one.
The rest Eaton looks good. Marquis Eaton.
Yeah, he does. He's probably going to be the guy that they've obviously decided is taking over from Teddy.
Yeah.
But I just think they look like a team that actually will play at speed, and you'll wonder where guys like Will Neighbour, Big Michael fit around that if they just come on and get up and down the floor. I think they could change. Cheshire have always played a bit quicker than some teams.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem for Will. Especially, sorry to cut you off, but I don't think that'll be a problem for Will because he played. They played that up and down game of the Royals. He's pretty much a pick and pop guy. So
he did the same with Raiders as well.
Exactly,
he doesn't want to play in the 5 here.
So if he lags back and they they've got drivers that are collapsing the defense and they see him at the top of the key or on the arc or even in one of the corners, they dish it out to him, swing it out to him. Because he'll be open because the defense has been collapsed. I think if there's one thing we know about him is that he can shoot. And I don't think playing at speed will be much of an issue if he's healthy.
He's fit,
and that is the big.
And I hope he is. I hope he is
for sure. But at the same time, do you know what? Also, and with respect, sorry, Will, you're probably listening to this, but. At the final, last year's final just gone. The championship final. In May. Leicester zeroed in on him. They zeroed in on him, and they did what pretty much everyone knew that they could do to him. And they literally just destroyed him on the pick and roll. They just absolutely isolated him and just broke him down. Crandall, it was bad. And I don't get me wrong. I actually asked that question, to their former head coach, to Lions. Sorry, it's Lions' former head coach, former interim head coach, at the press conference, post-game press conference, and he acknowledged it. Although it was quite defensive in regards to Will being injured and things like that, and blah blah blah. Understandably so. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think Leicester exposed him and to the wider basketball onlookers, both neutrals and biased fans, and they exposed him to everyone, knowing that they can actually zero in on him on the pick and roll and switch on him and cause him issues. So although yes, fine, health is one thing, and the fact that he can shoot is another. Him on that defensive end, that's going to be tested this season. It's going to be really, really tested this season, and if he's put in a pick and roll, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully they can hide him on defensively. Because I'm fond of Will Neighbour, just like many people, and I really want to see him do well. So.
Ads, my man, I left you till last because you're the Cheshire Phoenix. You bang the drum for that team, and rightly so. You've been proved right over the last few years with what they've achieved with their usually late recruiting, but like we said, they did a hell of a lot of recruiting early on. The squad's looking. They've still got spaces, obviously, but it's looking like a more of a finalised squad than they normally would have at this stage. Ads, my man, what you got for Cheshire?
I think you guys are tripping, all of you. What's up with you? This is a great roster.
I haven't had a go yet, but go on.
I think this is a great roster that they've got.
What?
They've got the two new guys. Is it Marquise Eaton and?
Yeah. Listen, no one cares about Chester doing well.
Hold on.
Just play well on the top. That's it.
They've got a couple of guards that look really tasty. They've got some big guys that we know are tasty in Ulf, Neighbour, and Big Mike. So they've kind of covered all positions, and then you add Jamel, who we know is one of the best defensive players in the league. But as proven last year in Manchester, if he wants to give you 15, 20 points, he'll do that too. Because we'd never got to see the offensive game of Jamal Anderson at Leicester because he was there to do a job on defence and there was guys around him picking up and scoring. But Jamal on certain nights was a bucket last year. So you add him to the mix. And Cheshire, like I say, season in, season out, they start off short-staffed, and then it's like they see what's what, and then they'll bring someone in November, December. Now, this is the first time that in a long time that they've recruited this early and made a lot of announcements. We still don't know whether Teddy's going to stick around. I've heard a couple of rumours that he might be heading our way to Manchester.
Lovely. Somebody put a rumour at the weekend he was going to London.
Well, is there space for him at London? I don't think there is. I think if he's staying in the BBL, you've got to be looking at.
Definitely not looking at you, bro.
We've just
definitely not looking at you.
Well, let me take over where he left off because I looked at the early signings and what they've put around their team, and I've thought as well they should be knocking on the kind of. Looking at mid-table, fifth or sixth, I've got them down as expectation because of what they
out because you disagree.
No, I agree. I'm agreeing with you. But here's the thing for me.
The internet said no, bro. The internet said no.
The thing for me
man.
is, and we've mentioned his name quite a lot already, and I didn't think you'd mention his name to the extent you have, is Will Neighbour. I feel like this season he'll kind of have a point to prove. He didn't get many minutes at London. He will want more minutes
He was injured
here.
most of the season. He was injured.
Regardless,
I think
even when he was fit, he didn't get many minutes. He would
but
come on and
he's
fill in
gonna
for a
get
couple of
minutes
minutes.
over.
But this is what I'm saying. He's going to get the minutes now, and he's going to want to prove that he's worth
Yeah.
those minutes. And his role on that team, you've mentioned it already, it's not going to be a defensive one. We've got Jamal Anderson, we've got Big Mike protecting the paint. He kind of is going to play that 4 role. He's going to drift out to 3, and he's going to knock them down because that's the sort of guy he is. And I think he's going to be more key to that team than maybe we think he is. But go on, Ads, you can finish up now you're back.
Well, I was just going to say, Will Neighbour, this is a really nice fit for him because he was never going to play the way he played with you guys being at London, right?
Or even at the Royal.
So this is a pretty nice fit for Will Neighbour.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. He's got a point to prove, but you can never sleep on Cheshire ever. You know,
But do
they might have
you
a
think
good
they're
gut
stronger
run.
than last season? Do you think they're stronger than last season?
I think they are.
There's a bit more depth.
I think they are.
They've got more
Yeah.
kind of more interchangeable pieces there.
I mean, the standard that they set when they signed Parker Jackson Cartwright was always going to be a tough one to go, oh, we've got this point guard, because, you know, that guy was incredible. The next season, they bring in Mike McCall fairly late on, who's another great point guard. They like point guards, and it looks like they've got a couple of guys that can play combo and an out-and-out point guard. So whether Teddy Okorefa fits back in that, or he does move on, is going to be interesting to see. But I feel like Teddy isn't going to go back just because I think it's getting too close now.
Yeah.
That they would have probably announced. You know, I'd like to think he was. If the rumor that I heard is that he's thinking about Manchester is realistic. But no, Cheshire, they'll be all right. They'll be fine. They'll
What are you
cause
saying?
upsets.
What-
They'll do all right in a cup.
What sort of position in the table?
Top half.
Top half. Ooh.
Well, this is the trouble with this league, though, is it's hard to
10
say
teams,
where
yeah.
in the table.
There's so many.
Well, I've gone 5th, 6th.
in the
I think
top 10.
Nicholson said 5th, 6th. Grant was 7th or 8th.
Where did they come last year?
6th.
6th.
Well,
After a
There's
poor
so
start.
many, so many ifs, buts, and maybes because
Oh,
you're
God,
obviously Danny Evans and Will Neighbour. If they stay fit for the whole season, both of those two, then happy
But
days.
expectation-wise, we're kind of at the moment we're thinking 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, but playoff basically a playoff team is what we're
Oh,
looking
for
at.
sure. Yeah,
I also think for
playoffs.
them it depends on how their British guys do.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting David Ulf's gone there. You can't get a guy, British 4-man, who will fight for every rebound, and they probably need that if they're going to play ways I think they're going to play with quite guard heavy. If they've got David at the 4 or the 5, he's going to be an inside guy with Big Mike. Then you got Jamal, David, Will, Danny
Evans.
who are going to be quite a strong British core for them.
well there
which
you go.
could help them as well.
Is any team on offense going to want to be attacking a team where you've got to face Big Mike and David Ulf?
Yeah, because let's not forget, you've got Big Mike on. He's having a breather. David Ulf comes on. He's going to go 100 miles an hour. That's the only way he knows how to play.
Yeah. No, I think Ben signed really well. I think that they're going to be legit. Good luck to him.
Oh, you had your hand up before we move on to the Rocks. Go on.
So I'm looking at what website is this? Basketball.eurobasket.com.
Uh-huh.
So they've got and I don't know how recently updated this is. So and you guys tell me how off this is. So at the point they've got as the starting 5, they've got Robert Graham at the point.
The website's so wrong. They're missing 2 or 3 guys from their
You want to
roster.
go BBL Daily is where you want to go. BBLdaily.com. That'll give you the.
Okay. In that case, yeah, because this might be old because they've got like Marquise Eaton at the 4. Sorry, at the 2, Teague at the 5, Lloyd Daniels at the 3, and Jamal Anderson at the 4, with Will Neighbour on the bench.
They're missing Big Mike from that list, David Alves. They're not even on their roster if you go to the roster page, so
okay,
the website's
fine.
miles wrong.
Fine.
Shall we move on?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Glasgow Rocks. We'll leave Grant till the end for this one because it's his team.
Okay.
Last season finished 7th. Again, another team that kind of struggled all season long and then just came good when Gareth Murray. I keep saying Glenn Murray. Glenn Murray, the Brighton centre forward, obviously. When Gareth Murray started to actually play, they seemed to turn a corner and really racked up the wins and got some big scalps as well. They took a couple of games off the Lions as well at that latter stage of the season and got themselves into comfortable in the end playoff position, finishing in 7th. Signings wise, there's an element of unknown about it. Ali Fraser obviously coming back is a big thing for them because he's a great BBL big man. The choice of Gareth Murray obviously just to take the reins rather than play. We'll see how that transpires. Who wants to kick us off on this one with their expectations?
I can happily go in and put the only ever time I'll compare Bristol to Glasgow is they've lost a lot of minutes. Jordan Johnson, Boba Jackman, JC Hillman, Jordan Harris. They've lost an awful lot of production and they've lost an awful lot of minutes. I'm excited by their recruiting. I think they've recruited really well. I think they've recruited with a really good pedigree.
Yes, agreed.
But have they recruited too many players with a really good pedigree who don't know each other? Is there going to be any consistency? You've got to build a whole new team. Like they got 2 players. Well, they got Bunyan. Oh no, they got 3 players, right? Free returns, right? Free returns, the usual stuff.
And they've had Kyle Jimenez playing 3-on-3 all summer with them.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Different ball game, as we know, but
Still look good though, didn't they?
I like this. I like their homegrown talent. I like the consistency there. I'm really interested to see where all these rookies fit in and how they fit in. But they've recruited with a really good pedigree.
What's your expectation of them?
I sound so same right now, but roughly around the same place. Maybe fighting for that 6th spot with Cheshire.
So 6th, 7th.
Maybe higher. I don't know. It depends what these rookies do. It's really hard to tell with rookies.
Well, this is what makes our job so difficult. I wish it was a job. We don't get paid for it, but this is what makes our hobby so difficult. I am a man. Glasgow. You're a big fan. Talk to us.
I mean, I'm not, but I think the although I'm not a big fan of Rocks, I'm actually on the other side, on the other side of this. I think that what's happened is, in my opinion, and again, Grant, correct me if I'm wrong, or if you believe I'm wrong, but I think the new ownership has provided a lot of galvanization, if that's the right word. It has. I think that's going to be a new thing. I think that's going to be a great thing going forward. I think their recruiting has been pretty. I don't want to say the word impressive, but has impressed me, or I guess kind of intrigued me. That's the word for it. Really intrigued me a lot more than their season, and then the off season of last year, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that we're looking at a new era. We're looking at a new era. Glasgow Rocks. I think that the only way is up for them. I think they're a stable club, and I think that we're going to see this is a different season. I think this is almost like season 1 for them, really, because Gareth Murray he has retired from playing full time. That's a difference. That's a huge thing. He's not playing anymore. He's just, as far as I'm aware, from what was being reported earlier in the summer, that he will stop playing after this summer and just concentrate on being a head coach. That, and it's that right there. Now, number one for me as a neutral, that is a huge. That might even be the biggest sort of quote unquote signing of the season for them, is the fact that you've got someone that is concentrating just purely on the X's and O's.
But do you think then maybe this is his learning year?
No. Oh, yes. I mean, listen, within the first 5 years, those first 5 years are his learning years. Like, he's still a very new head coach. He's had one season. He did all right
last season. Let's not forget.
Yeah, of course. He's got one season under his belt, right? But as a player coach, this season now, he's going to bring everything that he learned from last season, all the things that he did right, all the things that he did wrong, and now he's a full-time focused head coach. He doesn't have to figure out what part of the rotation do I need to be in, or like when do I need to come out, and all this stuff. Like, he is a full-time head coach, and that for me is a huge thing. So that's number one for me, right? And number two, stability. Stability is a good thing as well. Stability is a good thing for the players, for the head coach, for the coaching staff. That's, I think, the change in management, change in ownership, that adds stability, new opportunities. And I think they've recruited well. For me, the player that I'm looking forward to seeing is Patrick Tape, who the Ivorian player who just played in the FIBA World Cup African qualifiers. And although he didn't get a whole lot of time because he's still green behind the ears, he's still very young. That team went. Listen, the team's gone 7-0. The only team to go undefeated in the world when it comes to qualification, and they're one of a few nations that have actually qualified for the World Cup. So and he's contributed to that. Although very small, he's contributed to that. I think that he's the experience that he would have picked up over the summer, or should I say over the last 3 days, because the qualifications just ended on Sunday just gone. I think that experience is going to help him going forward for Wiz Glasgow. Listen, he played on the side with Alexander Poitras, who is an animal. Like that guy is an absolute, like, one of the best players in Africa, one of the best players like in any qualification team. And I just think that he's going to bring a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. I think there's going to be a lot more buy-in to Colin as well. And I think it's going to be slightly rocky at first, but I think they'll start to balance the ship around late November, early December. And I think what you'll see, I'm not saying that they're top 5. I think they'll end up being maybe 6th, 5th, 6th, maybe 6th. I think 5 might be a stretch. Top 5 might be a stretch. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're in thereabouts for 6, because I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them.
Ads, my man.
Look, as long as Johnny Bunyan's there, that's all I'm bothered about.
Hey.
Love me some Johnny Bunyan. No, it's an exciting season for Glasgow. New owners, it's always a nice spark. It's going to bring a lot of excitement. The fans are going to be hyped. It's going to. They'll present new things, I'd imagine. But yeah, I like the signings as well. I think that they do seem quite rookie heavy. Am I right in saying, Grant? They look like they're quite young, some of these guys. The guy that I'm excited to see is, what's that kid's name? David Sloan, because he's out of East Tennessee University, and I do check in on them because my old buddy and former Giant Isaac Banks went to Eastern Tennessee. was a great player while he was here.
Yeah.
And no, this guy looks good. His numbers in the NCAA are great. You know, it's not easy to average 13 points and 5 assists at that level. So, you know, that's some encouraging numbers. So it looks like you've got a, you know, potential superstar there. Like I was saying, and with Gareth now being a full-time head coach, well, this is the one for him. You know what I mean? Because we've been saying it for ages. You know, Gareth Murray is probably going to be an even better coach when he's not thinking about being Gareth Murray on the floor as well.
Facts.
So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good year for Glasgow. I mean, it's after a couple of tough years, I think it's the only way is up, and it's the perfect time with new owners, a new roster. But as well, I like that Glasgow do keep those 3 guys that are always there, because you need
that makes
those
a big
guys.
difference.
You need those guys around. It's like when Callum, James, and Ingus, you know, left the Giants. It's like it's not just about the numbers that they bring. It's about, you know, it's
what the club means.
The fans love it when guys like that come back.
It's like you've got identity. It's one thing Vince kept going on about the Lions last season. They lost their identity.
Yeah.
It's the little things as well. So if you got those guys there,
really
when those rookies come in and they're trying to figure out where to go eat, those rookies there, where do I go for a drink? Where's my accommodation? How do I get to training? You've got these guys who make them feel at ease a little bit more and help that bedding in period.
And those guys are all veterans as well. They know the game. They've been around a long time. So, you know, in practice, guys like that are so valuable to a ball club. So, yeah, go for it. Glasgow. Grant, tell us things.
Come on then, Grant. You're the
change.
The man.
It's all about the change we've been waiting for, or for a lot of Rocks fans have been waiting for. You know what? We've had change of owners, which, to be honest, I don't think has had a major impact in recruitment at all. This all happened much after the roster was done, if not fully done. However, that just makes it more exciting for the future. The Duncan Smiley promised silverware. Don't mention COVID season. He promised so much, and to be honest, Rocks have just whoa. My turn. Rocks promised so much. We had Vincent Lavandier, who got us so far. We've then kind of popped around, been the laughing stock of the league, but we are back. This Gareth Murray, if he is going to be full-time coach, you just have to look at what happened when Sterling Davis stepped down as player coach, just being full-time coach. Instantly upturn in performance. I think this summer, his 3rd season of recruitment, he's recruited the most versatile bunch of guys. COVID season, we recruited guys that we could slightly defend. We didn't have any offense. Last season, we had offense galore. And this year, he's got a really good balance. Last year, you're talking about guys moving on. Guys are moving on to better leagues.
No,
it's all moving up.
So for sure. Like I think they're moving on, and I think they're doing the right thing by moving on. I think they're going to be okay. I've struggled to see it because everyone's going to be better, apart from maybe 1 or 2 teams.
Grant, my man, what's your expectation of your Rocks?
I think when you've got guys, David Sloan, as I'd said, he was top 30 in the NCAA last year for assists. Top 30 in the whole of that league.
Wow.
Or the whole NCAA. We've seen how good Kyle Jimenez has been 3-on-3. If he can take that aggression into the 5-on-5, that's a bit of a weapon because he can shoot as well. Darian Adams looks a great scorer. Patrick Tapé, as Io said, he's now coming. He's been with Ivory Coast off and on all summer. He's been there. So I think even he's played their end of their National League season as well, out of college. So he's played some professional basketball over the summer. And then I think the last man to be announced, Princeton Onwas. Josh Wiltshire said that he's a great defender. So if you've got him on the court with 4 guys around him, he can play 3, position 2 till 5. I just think this team's so versatile that if they're able to buy into what Gareth wants, then I can only see. So I've kind of edged down on my expectations. I'm saying we'll be top 5. I think I'm saying 5th.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say we're going for the trophy because it's always in Glasgow. We've only got to the final once, and we deserve to be in the final again because then the BBL will actually sell out the Emirates Arena for it. However, but then before we talk about that, I've got a funny feeling with the Rock's new facility that the new owners is partially involved in the facility already there, and that there's a mass amount of space there that them and the Gladiators will move into, and it's pretty modern, and I reckon, and it's near motorways, near food places. It's in a place called East Kilbride, but I reckon that's going to be the place that gets converted, and it's going to be pretty awesome.
I thought it's already been converted.
They'll have to do a few bits to it.
I thought it had already been. I thought they'd been doing it, converting it over the summer. No,
Though they've never really said yet, but they've not said where it is.
Oh.
I've done some digging, and I think
I'm sorry.
I don't know for a fact.
Because-
I am guessing. This is pure Grant Rocks on podcast guesswork. And if I'm wrong,
So apologies, Grant, because I was under the impression that they were moving into the new arena or new gym, whatever. This coming season.
That was the chat, but that's kind of gone quiet. The new guys that came in with the new owners have come in and said about obviously Gladiators playing somewhere kind of a wee bit the other side of Glasgow. I don't know what's happening with that old proposal. I thought it was all pretty much done and dusted, but if these guys are coming in and saying, well, actually, we can get this for better. See you later, Glasgow City Council, and we'll go elsewhere. And it's just as good a location, if not better. Slightly out of town, but easy commuting stuff. I think the guy that owns it's already there.
I've cheated a little bit because I'm glad that you. Obviously, I've not given my opinion on this yet, and I'm glad you said what you said, Grant, because I have a list: Glasgow Rangers, Livingston Murray International, Calderdale Explorers. Back in the day, Scottish teams owned the BBL. Glasgow Rangers did the double. I think Alan Cunningham was MVP. Livingston International had Alton Bird and did what they did, went into Europe as well, as did Glasgow Rangers. Scottish teams were a big deal. They were a very big deal. They weren't allowed into the National Cup because they would won it. They would have won it every year. Only English teams were allowed in at early stages, and then obviously they opened that up. And I believe when they did, Glasgow Rangers won it straight away. But I like you, Grant. I think Scottish basketball is and Glasgow it's coming back. It's going to be a big deal again, like it was all those years ago, and not even that long ago either. They were up there when, like you said, Sterling Davis was at the helm. They had some good seasons under him, but just looking at that list of players, there's 4 D1 players, 4 NCAA D1 players in that squad. Ali Frazier, like we said, is valuable for what he brings to the team. Fraser Malcolm is always underrated. I love that guy. He changes games when he comes off the bench. Yeah, I like where they're at. I'm thinking 6th, 5th. I had on my thing 6th, 7th, but Grant's talked me up to 5th, 6th. And Jimenez, I really liked him in the 3-on-3. Like you say, he's got to translate, but I'm sure he'll do well. I am, my man. You got your hand up.
Question: How many? What the Brits? Who are the Brits that they have that they signed?
They've got Kyle Jimenez, Johnny Bunyan, Fraser Malcolm, and Ali Fraser. 4.
Only 4.
3.
What? Is it 3 or 4?
4.
They need more, right?
Why?
How many?
You can get 5 imports now.
Yeah, 5 imports. So that's 9 players on the team.
They've got 9 at the moment. There's a chance. There's slots available, but
okay.
It
so
depends
you
what
think
they decide to do, doesn't it? If they go at it that with 9 quality players like they've got.
Do you think they pack the team out? I'm sorry. Do you think they pack the starting 5 out with the All American?
No.
Ali Frazier's too good.
Okay, just wondering. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm excited for them, man. I'm really excited because, like, again, I'm always excited about hearing good business stuff off court. That's why I love hearing about the stuff that London are doing. I previous seasons, I've bragged on here. I've lamented how much I love what Bristol Flyers do off court, and seeing what the Sheffield Sharks have done off court, and hearing about the new takeover and whatnot, and the arena and whatnot. I love that. I'm all for that. I really
good
want
news,
to see them progress. So yeah, no, I think it's the only way is up for them. I'm gonna keep a close eye on them, and I really wouldn't mind sort of taking a trip up to Scotland this coming season to up to Glasgow to go watch a game. So I'll figure that out.
We're planning, and I'll drop this now into the podcast so that everyone can hear. Fans are like, we're gonna try to go to one game at each venue this season as like a road show, the BTR road show. We'll take the mics. We'll do a broadcast from the venue if they let us. So we're going to try and go to
Get off my land.
at least one game at each venue, and get 3 or 4 of us there at least to do a broadcast from that venue. As I say, if we're permitted, because some places might not want us. Who knows?
You are more than welcome to Plymouth any day.
I'll be there.
Apart from you.
So we're that's the longest journey in the BBL.
You're closer to France than you are to London.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
You might be closer to flipping Ireland.
You are all welcome, all of you.
I'm conscious of time on this. We're about to hit team number 4, so we are going to make this a 2-parter. We'll do team 4 and team 5, which of course is the Riders and the Lions, and then we'll call it a day because it's 10:10 now. Tuesday night as we listen to this, and I've got to put the bins out yet. So let's move on to the Leicester. Oh, the Leicester.
Oh yeah, isn't Edinburgh just like a big
dustbin?
What is it? You know where you see?
Didn't they do it for the festival?
Yeah, they timed Edinburgh's really well.
The Edinburgh Festival, yeah, that's
Glasgow's
crazy.
just as bad, if not worse. It's just Edinburgh's been obviously for the festival.
Right, come on, let's move on. Leicester Riders, last season, of course, champions, playoff champions, cup champions, did the treble. Gino, of course, was 3-time MVP in that one season. There is, in terms of signings, however, no Gino. However, the replacement was announced earlier this evening. CJ Jackson. His first name's Cleveland, apparently. Cleveland Jackson Jr. We'll talk a bit about that as we talk about the team, but the core of that team is returning, which is good and impressive. Who's gonna kick us off with this one? Fucking hell.
No, I'll go.
Go.
So, obviously, hot off the press of what they've just got. See, when you look at the guy coming in, CJ Jackson's had a couple of years' experience as a pro, played in some of the kind of Scandinavian league, coming over with actually,
and Finland, yeah.
Coming over with actually a very good basketball resume already. Played at Ohio State, looks like East Florida State for a season as well. Hey, who's to say this guy's not better than what Gino is from looking at his numbers?
He looks like an effective scorer, yeah.
Absolutely. He looks like he's a bit of an all-rounder, can get on the boards. And hey, we've only really found that out this evening that they've signed him. So if I was a Leicester Riders fan, the kind of weeks of waiting and the weeks of being unsure of what's happening, you can only be quite excited by that replacement. Saying that, we looked at, have they not maybe made enough changes? There's always a chat of, it's quite good having a settled roster, but really only 1-2 changes with Blake Bowman coming from D1 on a big contract. But out with that, they've got guys who are all kind of been about for Leicester for a while. They're obviously entering Europe. They're going to be top 2 in the BBL. But if I was a Leicester Riders fan, that's to me just the kind of basic of what I would expect from my ball team, and try and get to the final of all the playoffs, cups, trophies, and go from there. Patrick Whelan could have another brilliant season. That now he's playing GB level, playing okay for GB, and I'm just curious to see how they transfer out of Generation Gino to Mr. Cleveland himself, Jackson. So I would be quite buzzing and excited to see what he can do leading that team. But again, I'm kind of one of those ones saying, well, are Leicester now an aging team if they're keeping that core together year after year? That's my view.
Where's the expectation for them? Where do you think they're gonna?
Oh, top 2.
Top 2. Good lord. Okay. Nicholson?
I don't think they're that aging because Mark Lovin's a young guy, Zach Jackson's a young guy, Nelson Henry's he's not old. You know, Kimball McKenzie's a young guy, Patrick Whelan's a young guy, the new guy coming in, he's a young guy. So I don't think they're
aging was a bit harsh.
I like what they've done.
For stale, although you've still picked him 1 or 2, so even if you,
I like the addition.
Stale, the expectations still there.
I like the addition of Blake Bowman.
Well, yeah, Tahir said Blake Bowman can play. Yeah,
he's solid. He's solid. He had a lot of BBL teams looking at him. You know, I think the replacement for Gino is this replacement coming in with a higher caliber than what Gino had. Not sure.
Talent. What's so funny?
I'm excited for this new guy. I think he, from what I've just seen in the last half an hour, he looks like a good pedigree of player. And that sometimes, you know, without looking at the games and everything else, you can't really tell much more than that.
I know, right?
But I think Europe's gonna pose some issues because it normally does unless you deepen your squad.
I absolutely agree.
You know, it will do. You know, London are doing the right thing in Europe. They're deepening the squad with talent. Mm-hmm. So if you don't deepen the squad, you have the same size squad as every other BBL team, but you have more games. And if you're Leicester, you expect to go far in the trophy and the cup, so you have even more games. You expect to go far in the playoffs, you have even more games. I think they're going to be solid because the players they have got are really good. I just don't know if they're second or third.
Huh?
Where you going? Second or third?
Mm-hmm. I like what Manchester are doing.
Okay, fine.
I really like what Manchester are doing. And they've got a hell of a lot of less games than what Leicester do.
So are you saying fourth?
No, I said I don't know whether they'll be second or third.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, but it sounded like you said I don't know if they can make second or third.
That's what I
fourth.
Oh, no. I think they're the way Manchester go, and if Manchester recruit the rest of their team like they've been recruiting the first part of their team,
they will.
I think Leicester could be third. And I think that's purely down to the amount of games rather than the talent.
I am a man.
All right, listen.
I'm just going to mute my mic and just sit back and relax.
Listen, sit back. Oh, it's a shame. Tahir's not here. Sugar. Damn it.
Are you about to slam him?
No, I'm not. I mean, listen. One thing I won't do is call them a big market club. You know.
They love that.
You know, they've just signed a new generational talent. All jokes aside, sincerely, I don't believe that any of the signings matter. I don't care. For me personally, this is an exciting season for Leicester. But not just Leicester. Their head coach, Mr. Rob, I don't want to mispronounce
Paternostro. Yeah.
Right? Robert.
Coach P.
Robbie.
Coach Rob.
Robbie. This, out of all jokes, I'm being sincere. This, I think, listen, I'm not the Leicester Riders fan, right? But if Leicester managed to seed number one, because I don't care about the winning the league. That means nothing to me. If you seed number one, right, I will take my hat off in respect to Rob. This will be the season, in my opinion. Forget all the other seasons where he's won like 7 trophies in one season, and he's done the quintuple, trip trouble. I couldn't care less, right? This season will be the making of him, because you have a better squad of players at London. You have a better head coach, better international head coach at Newcastle. you have a more astute organization and management team and head coaching team at Manchester. So Manchester and Newcastle are going to prove to be a real big challenges, real big opponents for them. And Sheffield aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere soon, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a great season. I'm slightly worried at the fact that I'm slightly, just as a neutral, I'm annoyed at that they haven't really added more players to their squad or more players of a level to their squad that I believe that can help them sustain injuries and things like that. You know, going back and forth between the league. Between the league and qualifying for the BCL, Basketball Champions League. But that's neither here nor there, right? I think this is going to be a really, really good season for them. I'm buoyed by them taking their time with who they're going to get to replace Gino, right? Because those are big, all jokes aside, all generational jokes aside, those are big shoes to fill, right? And I don't know if CJ is going to fill those shoes, but I know for damn sure that Rob is going to get him to play in the right system in order for him to, if not fill those shoes, get close, But I'm really excited. I'm really excited it's almost for the first time in a very long time. I don't have this unnecessary level of hatred towards that team because I know they're not going to win everything. That's kind of it really for me. But like I'm really buoyed by what I hope what I think was gonna happen. I think that top 3 is going to be such a interesting race, interesting back and forth. I think I agree with Paul. I don't know if it's going to be second or third for them, but I think Manchester are going to be in and thereabouts. That top, that top 3 is going to be great. That tussle is going to be amazing for me. The best clashes of this, all the clashes of the season that I'm waiting for. London games, Leicester, London. Manchester, London, Sheffield, Manchester, Sheffield, Leicester, Newcastle, London, Newcastle, Manchester, Newcastle, Leicester. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward. So I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to Leicester, and I love their continuity. I love the fact that they brought back all these great players. I love it. I love it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. But I couldn't care less. No. Not that I couldn't care less, but I'm not necessarily too bothered about their new signings or signing. I'm more so going to be paying attention to what Rob does with his X's and O's and how he learns from his mistakes previously in a few years back, and how he's going to implement these new changes, this new going forward. And how he's going to implement those new changes and implement his experience. His experience going forward in the BCL. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I hope they qualify for the BCL proper. I really, really hope they do. It's going to be tough for them, but I really, really hope they do because multiple teams in Europe is a great thing. It's a great thing. Yeah. It's a good thing. It's good for professionalism. It's good for galvanizing. Basketball fans, forget about British basketball. Basketball fans, it's going to be great to galvanize them. And don't get me wrong, we're quite ignorant in London to whereby anything outside of London we couldn't care less, But up north, well not up north, sorry, in Leicester, I'm sure there are a bunch of basketball fans that aren't necessarily BBL fans, and I think if Leicester qualify for the BCL, I really hope they do. I think that's going to help draw in more, basketball fans. Period. Throughout the Midlands and whatnot. So I'm buoyed by them. I'm really excited. I really hope. I love the fact that they took their time with the recruitment, the replacement for Gino. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. But Rob, for me, is the elephant in the room. Is the person that I'm going to keep an eye on.
Ads, mate, where you at with the Riders? Are we done with them now, or are they still going to be up there?
Don't even worry about the Riders. Don't worry about the Riders. The Riders come into the league every year with consistency in the coaching, in the players that come back, and they just go about their business. We've said it before, we don't spend a lot of time talking about anything necessarily controversial or anything juicy coming out of Leicester. No. They just come in, they do their job, they play great basketball, and they're always in the mix. Are they going to be able to unearth London? Yeah, why not? This is the Leicester Riders. They are a consistently well-coached team. I always like, nah, man, you're off your head. But let me tell you, any team coached by Rob Paternostro, with the amount of returning players that they've got, is going to be a danger to anyone. All right? Gino, generationally, was the man. But in the next generation, you've got to be looking at guys like Pat Whelan. Pat Whelan has the keys to the kingdom now in a lot of ways. This guy's a great player. Remember, he came back to the BBL from playing in Europe. Okay? He was in the conversation for MVP last year behind Gino Crandall. Yeah? Pat Whelan is going to be scary this year, I'm telling you. And then you bring guys like, I was a big fan of Mark Loving, thought he was a great player. Kimball McKenzie was awesome. Mo Walker's awesome. Darian Nelson-Henry had a pretty good season. It's just a solid team. And they're not going to have all the stuff about trying to contain all these big egos like London are and getting used to one another. They already know how to play together. So they're just going to come in and they're going to play basketball. They're going to be top two all day. I think that, this London super team have got to get through Leicester rather than Leicester got to get through them.
Well, they are the champs, so you're the champs till you're not the champs anymore from that respect.
Fair enough.
I mean, remember a couple of years ago, the Liggins season?
Yeah.
That was different. That was different.
Yeah, I know it's different. Josh Bett was sat there at the start of the season going, they're going to go undefeated. They're not going to beat it. No one can beat them. They'll win everything.
No, come on.
And it's they are beatable.
The beginning of that season, that Lions team should have won everything. Obviously, there was a lot of shit went on, beyond that. But Leicester kept their heads together. They won they did the business.
This London team again is going to be a talking point all year. You've only got to look at the roster.
Management's different. The organisation is different.
Exactly.
Everything, but does that mean you automatically become a winning team? It's a new coach. It's a new management system. Everything is new down there. The team that they've put together. I mean, does this bridge nicely into talking about? Are they next on the list, perhaps?
They are coming up. Yeah.
I mean, just look at it. It's crazy. And the thing about the London Lions is, I mean, it's unbelievable. Look at the roster. Look at the names on that roster.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
But Leicester are doing it again in a lot of ways. They've lost their general Gino, but fundamentally, it's still the same team.
I feel like Nicholson's smashing the place up. He's furious. I feel like almost every season we have the same kind of discussion almost around Leicester. Will they be able to, be as consistent as they were the season before? Have they got?
And they always are.
And they always are. Have they got the calibre of player? It always comes up. It's always the question, and yet they always are around there. My notes mainly were circled around the fact that Gino hadn't yet been replaced, but obviously he is tonight. And looking at that roster, now they've got 11 players, which I think Paul mentioned when you've got the amount of games that they're likely to play, lots of cup games, lots of trophy games, BCL games, league games, playoff games. It's not a huge roster when you look at that compared with what the Lions have brought in. There's only 11 players. Obviously, they could still add more. However, when you look at the list of players they have got depth in every position, even though there's only 11 players. So, like you've got Patrick Whelan. You've got the new guy, CJ Jackson, who theoretically could start in the backcourt. You've also then got Kimball McKenzie, who's very good off the bench, could start games for other BBL teams. You've got Connor Washington coming in, who can play 1 or 2, hits the 3 ball and plays. I mean, Connor Washington's been around for a while now. We know what he can do. He's phenomenal. Jibril Adekoya is massively underrated. I think he's one of these guys that can come in and play multiple positions, defend multiple positions. I didn't say. I was going to say. I argued the fact that I thought Darian Nelson-Henry shouldn't have been in the team of the year. I stand by that. However, the way they've got it lined up with Darian Nelson-Henry and Mo Walker pretty much playing half a game each, that's the big man position sewn up, isn't it? For a game, they've got depth without having depth, essentially. It's a weird thing to say. And Zach Jackson's underrated as well. He played very well last season, defends incredibly well, and he can hit the 3. I will say that I feel their focus is domestic more than BCL. It's great they're in the BCL. This is their first kind of season back in it after how many years ago was it they had a crack at it? 3 years ago was it now? Maybe more. It seems like this time it's the first foot on the rung of the ladder kind of thing. I don't think they're overly concerned. They want to give a good account of themselves. Sure, I think domestic is the kind of focus for them. And when you look at the BCL, if it's that competition they want to keep going into, rightly so, because I believe for BCL you need to win a league or win the playoffs or be up in the seedings. If Lions obviously win everything, and Leicester are next on the list, they then can apply and go BCL. So their focus should be domestic if they want to keep returning to the European competition.
Yeah, but
I'm with you guys. I think we're looking at top 3 for them.
Yeah, sorry, no, I was just trying to get my head around like if they're not focused on Europe, but they want to keep going back into Europe, it just seems like a kind of fun little merry-go-round. It's great, but I just feel they need more players.
There's progression. So this is their first season in the BCL. Forget 3 or 4 years ago. This is now they've made a statement on it. This is their first year of their progression. I don't think they're going to be going hell for leather to qualify in BCL. Domestically, they're going to want to return some silverware like previous seasons and get back into the BCL next season. And like we say, no more salary cap, more opportunity for funding, more awareness made through being in the European competition and giving a good account of yourselves. You don't have to necessarily. I mean, the greatest European feat we've had was Kingston Kings in '91. They finished 7th in the Elite 8, but they gave a really good account of themselves. They were losing games by 2 points. They were losing games by 4 points. They only really got blew out by Split 84, Pop 84 Split, which obviously had Tony Kukoc. They got blown out in one game, and in the other game they lost by 2. You give a good account of yourselves. You'll become more on people's radar. Next season they progress more.
I'm hoping to see a couple more names on the roster. If I see a couple more names on the roster, I take my comment away and they're finishing second. I just think with the roster, I
think we might be looking at that for next season.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so because I'm with Paul in a sense of and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul. I hope I'm not kind of putting words in your mouth, but like I'm kind of slightly disappointed that they haven't, done more with their squad. However, I
love the squad.
Two things can be true, right? Two things can be true at the same time. I'm not happy with I really feel they could do more with their squad and whatever, but it's also I understand their progression. They wanted to kind of progress slowly because they've done this whole time. Like why go through this entire process, in the way that you've wanted to do, right? to then get to Europe to throw everything at the wall and see if things stick. Like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just, treat Europe the same way you treated the domestic league, in a sense of, trying to qualify it for Europe season after season and progress. Like, next season they will the squad will hopefully be better and a bit more impactful with regards to sustaining injuries, sustaining the amount of games having being played and whatnot. But yeah, I hope going forward that they do build their squad to be more in Europe. And if unlike this season going forward, I hope they decide that, okay, if we don't get into the BCL, we're happy to drop into the Europe Cup, because I really do want to see them in Europe. I want to see Leicester in Europe. I want to see Manchester in Europe. I want to see, the best teams, our top 4 teams. I want to see Sheffield in Europe. I want to see Sheffield's new arena in Europe. You know what I mean? You guys know how much European basketball I watch. I watch European basketball. I watch a lot of African League basketball. Like I love the connection of different teams from different countries going up against each other. Playing different cultures, playing against different cultures, playing against different cultures of teams and things like that. I love it. I love it all, and I really want to see the best teams from over here tested by the best teams over in Europe. So it's all about progression. I want them to do more this season, but if they don't, that's fine. That's fine, because I know that slowly but surely they're building themselves up to be a better, more respectable team in Europe, and to sustain their at least top 2, top 3 place in the league.
Yeah. Well, let's shift along. Ads is going to kick us off on this one, but we're going to, because obviously you started to talk about the London Lions, and here we are. This is going to be the last thing we talk about on the show. We'll leave the second half of this podcast for next week. But London Lions, obviously last season finished 3rd, perhaps a disappointment, but there obviously was a lot going on behind the scenes. Signings this season have pretty much been unreal in terms of the BBL, and they've come out and said categorically they want to win it all. Ads, my man, what are the expectations for the London Lions?
Well, the expectations are for them to just go out there and win everything. League, trophy, cup, playoffs, the lot. The expectation for London is that they're going to be a super club. The expectation is that it might even have 2 rosters, one for Europe, one for domestic. I've been talking about this with a few people, and whilst the roster is impressive, I can't wait to see these guys play. I love the fact that they've gone British with a couple of these signings, and big signings too, with Ovi Soko and Luke Nelson. Love that. I don't buy into this thing with having 2 rosters, whether they have one for domestic and one for Europe. I just don't. I don't like that. That what's the word? That culture, if that is what it's going to be, because I just believe that if you're a sports team, your 12 guys are in it together, whether you're playing against Surrey on a Friday night or you're playing a European game. Those 12 guys should be together for the whole season doing everything, whether it's a trophy game, a cup game, a European game. I just don't like the whole thing of kind of swapping out rosters depending on what you're doing. But how many guys are on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15 guys. You know what I mean? And I'm led to believe that there might be more.
Which would suggest that there's going to be at least they're going to be able to rest players, or
Yeah, I mean, it's like, by all means have a rotation, but if we're talking about creating 2 separate teams or not having your key guys playing against the lower teams in the BBL,
But
I just
that's
don't
not come
think
from
that.
anywhere. That info is it? No one's actually said that. It's just more.
No, it's speculation.
Well, there's
Yeah.
15
Speculation.
players. How many can you have on the bench in a squad?
12.
It's 12.
It's 12. Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
So 3 of them aren't going to be playing. It's how they rotate those 3 guys, isn't it?
Yeah. Remember, listen. The Euro Cup is a regular season competition. Like it's basically a league in itself.
There's
It's
more
2
games
leagues.
in that, isn't there?
There's a group A, there's a group B, and there's a ton of regular season games. So it's not like a knockout tournament, whatever, or like
No.
4 in a group
There's a
or
lot of-
4. Yeah, there's a lot of regular season games. So there's going to be a lot of wear and tear on these
Yeah.
players, and you need a team, built for that. There's going to be a lot of wear and tear. Now, my thing is,
Hold on, 2 seconds. We'll come back to you. I just want to get Ads. What is your? Do you think it's number 1 in all competitions? That's it. That's the expectations for the Lions, or do you think
everyone's expecting number 1. It's certainly going to be 1 or 2. They've still got to get through Leicester at the end of the day. They have, though. Leicester are a great team. This is a new team with a lot of high-profile players, a lot of high-profile egos that have somehow got to learn to play together and play good basketball and beat a team that have really pretty much been together for the last 3 or 4 years and have been dominant. Leicester have just done a job on everybody that comes before them, and I fully expect that they'll do a similar thing this year. I mean, I'm excited to see London. There's still a lot of things that I just find crazy, though. It's like the whole announcement of the salary cap being lifted, and then it's like, well, you're just giving yourselves free license to go out
the
and
floodgates? Yeah.
pick up the best players that you can get, and fair play. Good, do that. Represent the BBL in Europe and do it well. But in terms of wear and tear, it's another one. This is the old school in me. It's like, well, if you're a professional athlete, you got to be expecting to play a lot of games. If you're in the NBA, you're playing 82 games in a season.
Yeah.
Even
Back
with
to
all
back,
those
yeah.
European fixtures, you're still not playing that many games.
hey, well, you're playing up to about 70 games.
They're going to be playing. Yeah, somebody said it's
total-
the same
in
amount, so it's going to be
total,
like
yeah.
88 games. Yeah.
Yeah, in total, yeah,
Yeah,
they're
but
playing
it's
70 plus games.
Okay. So be prepared to play 70 games with your 12 to 15 players.
Elite
Keep
players.
core players in there.
Minimum 60 because
But they got guys who are used to doing that.
exactly.
Well,
exactly.
there you go.
Yeah.
So,
I am
bring
about
it, London.
expectations, IO.
I think expectations and I don't know, expectations and maybe kind of mainstream kind of commercial expectations. There's I think there's an expectation to get to the grand final, right?
Yeah.
The championship final.
That's very Australian, that is. The grand final.
Grand final, because I've been watching a lot of NBL 1 over the summer and
Aussie rules as well. Grand final. It's always the grand final in Australia. Yeah, go on.
yeah, that's what they call their basketball final, grand final, the granny, the granny. And I there's expectation to win that showpiece final. I think there's expectation to seed number 1 in the league. I think when it comes to the 2 cups, in my opinion, it's my belief, and I'm going to die on this hill. Right? It's my belief that they will prioritize the BBL Cup over the BBL Trophy, because I don't believe in my opinion, just my sole opinion, the BBL Trophy is the lesser of the 2 competitions. And I don't think that winning the trophy, going all the way up to Scotland, with all due respect, Grant, behooves them. I think that that's what's going to be the expectation. Yes, they're going to want to win everything. Yes, but I think they're going to prioritize getting to the final, seeding number one, having a home court advantage throughout the playoffs, right? Getting to the final, and winning the cup and doing well in Europe, whatever that means. Just being a showpiece team in Europe. And I think we're in for a really, really fun season. I'm looking forward. To be honest with you, again, I'm not really sure if we're going to see Sam Dekker at Surrey. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really sure. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm almost with. I'm partly with ads where it's like, if like it doesn't matter what, if it doesn't matter what team, doesn't matter what level, like you all should be in it to play against all the teams. Doesn't matter whether it's a small team or whether it's whatever. Again, you guys know how much European basketball I watch. Like, I watch a lot of ACB basketball. Like, they're big players from Barcelona are playing against some of the smallest clubs smallest clubs in ACB, and the smallest gyms in the ACB, in these packed out gyms with these fans that are going nuts, right? Yeah. And I think I love that. That's one thing I love about even European sports, in the fact that you get these guys sort of David and Goliath matches, and those are really interesting, that they provide great storylines, great narratives, and things like that. So it'll be great for Sam Dekker to play a Surrey, so on and so forth. But I don't believe that's what's going to happen. But I could be wrong. With that being said, my expectations are of them being a very well professional club, a very well organized club, a very astute club. I think their players will go about themselves professionally. You won't hear a lot of chirping from their coaches. No offense, Vince. You're gonna see them be very, very professional. But I think they'll prioritize. I think the trophy will be deprioritized in my opinion, because in the grand scheme of things, what's the point of going after the trophy? What's the point? I think they'll prioritize seeding number one, getting to the final, and winning the BPL Cup and doing well in Europe. So, and I'm looking forward to it. Of all the players, I'm looking forward to Sam Dekker. I would say yes. I'm looking forward to him, but really for me is Huban, Wojciech Huban. Is probably my favorite. I would say Zubik, maybe Sokol. Okay, cool. I want to see what Luke Nelson does, and what Solade does as well. Also, I'm a huge Kareem Quealy fan, because I watched him at Burgos these last couple of years, and I think it's a shame. I don't know the ins and outs or what went on back then, but I think this is a chance for him to really make a name for himself, because he did have a lot of good players in front of him, and he wasn't given the opportunity, or he didn't take the opportunity. But for whatever reason, that opportunity wasn't there for him to play more minutes and to kind of really reach the level that I think he could. And I think playing in Europe is going to be interesting. And I'm buoyed by it. I'm loving it. I'm going to be at all their home games, be it in Europe or domestic, and I love it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do.
Grant, my man, what you got on the lines?
The roster talks for themselves, but I think one of the big expectations for Lions are to see them multiple times selling out the Copper Box.
Yes,
you've got to see that ball club step up. See everything they've done this summer is night and day compared to what they've done the past couple of off seasons. From their media, from their just appearance, it's even simple things. They look like they're going to be pushing merchandise. They can get that whole new London brand. Let's be honest. London Lions logo and all that of old is totally gone. It's the LDN, it's all that. it looks like it's going to take off. A full team. What did Josh say the other week? They've got like a squad of 20 guys doing media stuff alone for them now.
Wow.
Like it's a proper operation now. So for London to really prove that and show that, and for kind of 777 to go look at the rest for the rest of the league to stand up, selling out the copper box is job number one. Job number two for me is let's see them do really well in Europe. Those 15 guys, 1 to 15, can all contribute. Okay, you've got maybe Kabosa and is it Zamoku, who's the young boy from BA, who's going to be still playing for them? Is that right?
Yep.
And then Josh Ward-Hibbert as well, who guys that you're like would easily get good minutes at the rest of the league, who are obviously taking an opportunity to
Solid BBL,
be involved. And I think I said on the last show that I'm most excited by Luke Nelson, just to see what he can do as a Brit in this league. And it's great to see someone in the peak of his career wanting to come back to the UK, represent London, playing in Europe. And I think from a fan of the league and fan of a team in the league, you've got to be excited by what London are, as a project's trying to do. And you see stuff online being like, oh, give it 2-3 years and the money will be gone. The doomsdayers, we've all seen it. We've all been part of the league and it's all been in the dump. But you know what? Why can we not be excited? Look at the signings they've got from teams around Europe. Look at the quality of their imports. Look at the quality of Brit playing for them. And they're the team that's going to be number one, probably going to win the playoffs. I probably agree. Don't know if they'll take the trophy that serious. And they'll probably lead the lead in several categories as well. So I think it's a great project for that, for London and for whatever else. I think it's going to be a brilliant year for them.
Mr. Nicholson, sir?
I love everything that they're doing right now. I can't hide that. I love absolutely everything they're doing right now. From they're on Notting Hill Carnival. They're with Crystal Palace Football Club. They're at UFC matches. Off the court, they are doing everything a professional basketball club should do at the highest level.
Formula E as well they were at. Or
Formula E, yeah.
Car,
Correct.
Everything a professional basketball club should be doing, with their resources, they're doing it. They are putting their money where their mouth is.
Mouth is correct.
Right, the squad is tough as hell. Tough as hell. Their media is great. Their recruitment's been very, very good. Their expectation should be simple. They're here to win it all. End of. Like they're not here for decoration. They're here to win it all.
Do we? Good. You done?
What else can I say, man? I love what they do right now. Right now, I'm high on what they do. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree with everything everybody said. I'm old, so
well, we know that. What's your opinion, though?
It's linked to that. I still bang on about it. I wrote a piece which hopefully will be coming out on BBL Daily fairly soon as well. There is a direct comparison between them and the Kingston Kings of the 90s. Kingston Kings was a team that was built for Europe. The blueprint they set is not dissimilar to what the Lions have done. Obviously, they didn't have the finances that the Lions have. They literally picked up the best of English at the time. I don't know if the GB team existed then, but it was the England team. They picked up the best English players they could. Alton Bird was naturalised. He was an England player. Trevor Gordon, Martin Henlon. They picked these guys up. Martin Clark as well, who was phenomenal. They also had the best player in the league, Alan Cunningham, at that stage, coming off the back of an MVP with Glasgow Rocks. They picked up the best players available to them, and that squad was built for Europe and decimated everybody domestically for 3 seasons. They only lost 1 competition. There's people that would say that the Lions, and I thought some of you guys might say it more, that the Lions' main focus is Europe. But I honestly feel like if they don't, they have to win everything. I want them to win everything this season. Well, I don't want them to win everything because I'm a Pats fan, but you get my meaning. They should be winning everything this season. If they don't, I'm not saying it's a failure, but they have not achieved that elitist level. Now, I realise the Europe side of things is probably more important to them than the domestic side of things. We may see that reflected in squad, who they rest for certain games and what. But I don't think you can have one without the other. They will have European success. They will also have domestic. They're not going to lose all their domestic games and suddenly do well in Europe. The one begats the other. They are going to dominate domestically, and I think they have to because of history. And I think that shit matters. That was the heart of the turmoil in the week with Jay Marriott and the guys from the BBL podcast. Is this shit matters? You say stuff. It matters because the history of this game is important. Where it came from. All right, to where we are now, and there is a direct comparison between this Lions team and that Kingston team. They have a real chance, a legitimate shot of becoming one of the greatest teams that's ever played in the UK, and obviously progressing and doing well in Europe. It's a byproduct. Success, it's a habit. It's something you can't. Like Ad said as well, you're not gonna rest players for the sake of resting them. If your guys are fit, if your best guys are fit, and you've got a game, if it is Surrey, we keep saying Surrey because obviously Surrey, I'm guessing the expectations for them when we get to that team is not going to be particularly high, but I don't think you're going to rest players for the sake of it. These guys are going to play if they're fit, and they're going to want to destroy teams and confirm their place in the history books and win everything. Cup, trophy, playoffs, league, and get as far in that European competition as they possibly can. And that's my that's what I think the expectation should be from onlookers as well.
I think the level of professionalism is going to go up. I think they what they're doing is
it's gone up already, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But I think what they're doing is again, off the back of what Paul said, is pretty much the benchmark. It's all. I mean, is it? Oh, wait, hold on. Yes, it's the benchmark, but in some ways, it's almost the minimum of what should be.
What clubs should be aspiring to. Yeah.
Yeah, what all clubs should be done. Is what they're doing. It should be the bottom line. It should be the minimum, or just below what they're doing, And I love it because, we're gonna see Manchester go through that. I'm excited about Manchester. I'm really excited about Manchester. I really, really am.
Well, they're first on the list for next week.
I'm really, really excited. Really excited. We're going to see that. We're going to see that eventually. We're going to see Manchester will be the London of the North. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be a standard that's set. Sheffield, they're gonna, their standards are gonna raise, and a lot of standards are gonna really pick up and uptake. It's gonna take time. It won't be within this season. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take several years. But I'm loving it. I'm really love what London's doing. I'm just echoing what Paul said. Yeah. I love what I think. So again, I don't want to apologies, guys. I don't want to overtalk, but when part of the reason why I was so really proud of being a Royals fan, because I'm a born and bred South London, as I said on this podcast before, and Royals were based in South London. A stone's throw from where I grew up, right? Literally a stone's throw, less than half an hour's walk. Less than half an hour's walk from where I grew up, right? So there's a level of pride. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm a born and bred South London. I live in East London. The Lions are pretty much a stone's throw that way, right? And what they're doing again, just incenses. It really just gives a level of pride to Londoners and to basketball fans. And I'm loving. I hope what I really hope that they do is attract basketball fans, not people that are into British basketball fans. Bring them in. Bring them into the culture. Create a culture. Create a culture around your club, be it for fans, be it for the players, be it for the staff. Create that. I'm loving it. I'm really, really love what they're doing. And last but not least, man, their content is great. And I'm really buoyed by everything they're doing. Oh, one last thing though before we get on. Surrey, I know that's for next week, but I have high expectations for them. By the way, yes. Oh. And the reason why, don't get me wrong, sorry, friends.
Well, don't tell us why.
No. Of course. I won't. But I will say this. Spoiler. I will say this. whenever I mention Surrey as sort of the bottom tier, it's only because of their arena or their gym that they play in. That's it. That's that's the only reason why.
Well, I look forward to next week, though, yeah.
I'm not dissing them. I'm really I'm galvanized as a neutral to see what they do this season, and I'm excited. But we'll leave that to next week.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Does this new, I'm going to call, we're loving the word generation these days, right?
Oh, yeah.
Does this new generation London team unite the city of London? I've always thought that Lions of old only had their kind of small community. You then had Royals who had their community, and it kind of worked because they kind of represented, as you say, different parts of London. Does this new London team represent London?
Have a look at the last Twitter post from London Lions at Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah, well, bear with me. One, like I said, like you guys know, I'm a born and bred South Londoner, right? Been here all my life. It is very difficult as Londoners to unite London. It's really difficult.
It's too big.
It's forget about the fact that it's too big, right? Yes, okay, fine, it's too big, but it's because, or partly it's because each side of London, each corner of London has its own culture, has its own, it's its own world for the most part. There is South London, right? there is South London is huge. There is South London and there's Northwest London. That's different from West London. Northwest London is also different from North London. Do not get those confused. And then there's obviously East London. Now, the point I'm trying to make is it's very difficult to unite the city. Now, one thing that unites us here is winning. As with all cities, all towns, right? But we have to win big in London. We have to, it's almost like, excuse my language, we kind of have to really hold our nuts and walk in the room with big dick energy. I'm being totally serious. I'm being totally sincere. I'm being sincere. We have to walk into the room with a lot of big dick energy, both on the men's side of the thing of London Lions and the women's side of London Lions, because the women's side, they're playing in Europe as well, and we want to see them do well, right? Now they have to win big and win well and play well. That will help draw in or sustain, but really and truly what will unite London is when they're and it won't be in one season. They have to really step foot into the cultures, different cultures of London. You have to, you're going to have to speak to the black culture, the black community in London. You're going to have to speak to them. You're going to have to speak to the Asian community in London. You're going to have to speak to them in some way. You're going to have to speak to different parts of London, Northwest London, North London, East London, South London, West London. They're going to have to do things in different parts of London for us to really look at each other like, oh, you know what? These lot aren't from London. They're from Leicester, or they're from Glasgow, or they're from Bristol, or they can't come here and play us. The neutral fan or the new fan might not know a whole lot, but what they know is they don't want anyone that's not from London beating London. So for them to do that, they have to win big, but they also have to do the stuff off court, and the stuff off court
spread the net.
It's going to be it's difficult. But it is doable, because
they certainly look like they're making steps in the right direction.
The Towers did that back in the day.
Towers.
I'm a Towers fan. I came from the Towers. I'm a Towers fan. I went up to Wembley.
Actually,
to watch
you saying that, when you used to look at the Towers, obviously they played South London. They played at Crystal Palace, and for a large chunk, whenever they were marketed, the perception was that they were a North London team. It was like, do you know what I mean? I never thought of them as a South London team, and then when I went to watch them play, it was at Crystal Palace. I was like, Jesus.
But a lot of their fans came from South London.
Yeah.
A lot of us, because I was there traveling with a horse of fans from South London going up to, and listen, being from South London, going in the mid-90s, going to Northwest London, it's very dangerous, bro. very dangerous. And South London,
wrong side of the river.
very wrong side of London, wrong side of London. But basketball brought us all together, right? Basketball brought us all together, and it was London Towers was for the most part big dick energy. It was like, yeah, what? It really was. It really was. Don't get me wrong. It sounds funny, but it's sincere. I'm being sincere. Now, they're going to have to be big dick energy. They're going to have to be, and it is that's really what's going to unite us. Like them going out there, putting their foot down, trying to really galvanize different sections of London. But it's not going to happen in one season. It's just not going to happen this season. No. But this is going to be
this season, though.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be the start. It's going to be a good start, and they've made a great start, especially when you go to the game, the hospitality. Yeah. When you get there, it's all taken a real uptick, and I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited, and I'm excited for the success that I hope will happen on the men's side, and I'm excited about the success I hope will happen on the women's side. So yeah, we shall see. But will it unite London? Not this season, but going forward, I see them doing good things, just like the Towers. Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
Fellas, we'll start to wrap things up now. Genuinely, do we give time over to talk about what happened with this? Because to be honest, I'm quite enjoying the Wolves label, the Wolf Pack label. I don't mind it. God. It's good. We will stick together. That's absolutely fine. I will say that when one of us comments, a lot of us will comment on that. Not a lot of comments going the other way, just from one person. What do we want to talk? Does anybody want to say anything about this?
The league is bigger. The league is getting stronger. People will debate. People will disagree with each other.
Correct.
That's the beauty of sport. The BBL has been.
Oh, can I just say that this wasn't. This was the thing. I didn't listen to the show, so I can't say. Someone played me a clip of Jay Marriott howling though, which was hysterical. I didn't have any issue. The argument for me wasn't whether or not Gino was a once-in-a-generation player. It was the use of the word generational, which means over a long period of time, and obviously he's only been here for 2 seasons. I didn't get angry. I just pulled him up on that. And then obviously there was a few tweets ago. He wanted names and suggestions as to players that were better than Gino over the years. I gave him about 20. So
everyone gave him about 20.
Do you know what I mean? And I thought that was kind of the end of it, and then I don't know, it just went a bit weird. What did he say on the show?
I've got the clip here. If you guys wanna,
you got a clip.
Play it. Play it.
All right.
Play it.
All right. Bear with me, gentlemen. Bear with me. Where is it? Here we go. Wait. That's not the one. That's not the one.
Hey, careful what you play.
Yeah,
no,
steady,
right?
I am.
Nah.
This was a quick turnaround to episode 13, but there was one thing that I did pick up on the socials, and I was busy in Plymouth dancing away at, getting my wedding season on. But every time I go,
cool.
But every time I glanced at my timeline, I saw you going back and forth with the guys below the rim. So just kind of catch us and the listeners up on exactly what you guys, I'm assuming, I don't know if you guys was arguing, fighting or what, but inform us.
Let's call it a friendly beef. That's what I think it is.
Okay, a friendly beef.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a friendly beef that what got it all started. So we got perhaps hot.
Let me stop it there. Let me just stop it there. Now, I'm not going to go into this. It's funny, hindsight 2020 and all that stuff. And
I wasn't hot under the collar, by the way, if that's what he was about to say.
I know, right? I'm gonna stop it there.
The loins.
But I'm gonna play a little bit more because I think the howling was just weird. Firstly, it's not beef. Jason. It's not beef, Jason. It's not. It's not. It's not beef, because beef means when I see you, there's an issue. That's beef. This is not beef. This is a bunch of grown men and not agreeing on a particular opinion. So this is not beef. So please don't make it out to be anything that it was or anything that it isn't. And don't try to galvanize your listeners and, into making us out to be anything that we're not, or make our opinions out to be anything that they weren't. We weren't aggressive, disrespectful, we didn't cuss at you.
I said fuck his paper bag, but I didn't know what he was talking about.
All right, fine. Fine. Pabs cussed at you, but no one else. I may have called you a pick-me, but But the point remains is this. Don't do that. Because what you're doing right now is you're speaking down on us, and you're speaking of us as if we're being aggressive, as if we're attacked, if we're going out there attacking you, as if our listeners are attacking you, calling us a wolf pack and howling. That's just embarrassing. That's embarrassing, and it's disgusting behavior. And I think it should be beneath adults. Forget men, women, beneath adults, right? It's just unnecessary. It really is unnecessary. But I'm going to continue audio. I won't play the whole thing because it's like 6 minutes, but I won't play the whole thing. I'll play a little bit more, and you guys tell me when to stop.
Stop.
As I said, that Gino Crandell was a generational talent.
He's not.
And we know, all in good fun, okay, all in good fun, guys. We know that they hunt in packs, so when one comes out, you got to be ready. 3, 4, we don't know how many of them there are. They're like ninjas.
What the?
I like the idea of being a ninja. I want to be a ninja.
Is he gutted because no one...
I'm not agile enough to be a ninja.
Me neither.
I'm from South London, so that kind of makes me, a bit of a samurai. But
because he was just irked with the fact that I'd used generational and felt like I'd used it in the wrong context.
Because you did use it in the wrong context, Jason. Listen, Jason, you used it in the wrong context, bro.
Is his name Jason or is it Jay?
It could be Jason. It could be...
No, his name's Jay. His name's Jay.
I'm going to call him Jason.
Oh, okay.
Listen, Jason.
I thought you knew something then.
Bro, Jason, stop. Gino Crandell is an amazing player.
A once in a generation.
But he's not a once in a generation.
No, he is once in a generation. He's not generational.
Because or whatever. But the point remains is, and I'll think about this today, is that with respect to the British Basketball League, where this league is currently and where it has been over the last 5-10 years, we're going to see, and we have seen players come here that have been amazing at this level. And I don't think that's it's something that is once in a lifetime. You're going to see players of Gino's level, or even better, do great things over here. And they might be for 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, but to call them generational, I think is a bit over the top. I think it's a bit over the top. Now, don't get me wrong. Who am I to tell Jay that he can't be a fan of this guy? Or no, no one's saying that.
That was never the argument.
Yeah, no one's saying that. But the point remains is the word listen, generational means you're not going to see this type of talent again ever. And to say that we won't see a Gino Crandell level of player in this league is ridiculous, because this league is not the level of this league, with respect, unfortunately, isn't at the level to where players are looking at that as, do you know what, I need to aspire to be great to be in that league. Players aspire to be great for the ACB and things like that. Currently, they don't do that for the BBL, but they will. It's going in that direction. In my opinion, it's going in that direction, and I love it. And God willing, I'll be around to see it, maturate to that point. But to say that Gino Grandal, who is an amazing player, I love the guy. He's a really lovely guy. I interviewed him. I spoke with him personally on his own, like one-to-one. He's a lovely guy. I'm really happy for his new move. But to say that he's a generational talent, but to also speak down on us and to make us out to be this aggressive group of men, that are attacking you and are join impacts. That's dangerous. You're weaponizing your opinion in order to make us look like as if we're the aggressors, and that is wrong. That is wrong. No one should be, because it's just basketball. It's just a game. Like, don't weaponize us. Don't weaponize. Just stop doing it. Like, we have our opinions. You have your opinion. We don't disagree with you. We don't agree with your opinion, but don't try to downplay us or try to make us out to be anything that we're not. We're just a bunch of adults that love this game, love speaking about this game, just like you, Jay. And that's all it is. You know? That's all it is.
Yeah, that's fair. I will just add to that. I think this shit matters. If you're going to say stuff like that, it matters. You got to get it right. Ads, my man. Anything to say before we go?
Yeah, it's not really a beef like Io says. No. You know what I mean? It's more sort of leftover chopped liver. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But I mean, well, at the end of the day, look, we're an independent podcast at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. The beauty of being an independent podcast is that we can say what we want, obviously within reason. And, you know, I've come under plenty of fire over the past couple of years talking about people and things. Jamie, mainly.
Yeah, I knew.
And at the end of the day,
leave Jamie alone. I like Jamie. Leave Jamie alone, man.
No. Let's not open that one.
I'm bubbling. But no, look. All I say to people is look. We only speak in facts. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we're making stuff up, coming up with rumours or this, that, and the other. We're just stating facts and talking about it. I mean, anyone that's listened to the show has heard some of the arguments that we've had between ourselves. And then after the show, we just laugh about it. Yeah. It's what makes it fun. And, you know, I'd urge anyone to flick over to ESPN and watch how they do it. You know, look at Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman.
Level. Yeah.
No,
you know,
it's ESPN, bro. Any of the best talking head sports programs have their opinion.
I mean, I don't watch a lot of Premier League football, but when I see something on a social media thing of Roy Keane arguing with someone, I always turn it on, because he's one of those guys that he speaks his mind, he's very honest, and gets a reaction off other people. And you see guys like Jamie Carragher nearly in tears, you know what I mean? And it's just passion for sports, right?
Mika Richards laughing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the BBL show, you know, obviously being the BBL show, they've got to toe a bit of a different line to we have.
Yeah.
As in, we don't have to toe a line.
Yeah, but then, so on that point again, towing the line, it comes back to, again. Correct me if I'm wrong. It comes back to this whole point of weaponizing. Again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this word. Like weaponizing our opinion and weaponizing who we are as a podcast. Don't say we move in a pack, and it's violent. It's almost aggressive, violent, almost type of verbiage to use against just a bunch of adults that love this game and disagree with you. So don't do that. We're adults. We are that love this game. Some of us are parents. I'm not a parent, but some of the people in here are parents. Parents. Actually, you guys aren't going out there hurting anyone. You guys are parents. You have beautiful children that you raise. Don't make us out to be anything that we are other than passionate basketball fans. Don't say that we're a wolf pack or whatever. I'm offended by that. Don't ever say that. That's aggressive. That's aggressive talk. I don't like it, because I'm not going to say that to you. You disrespected us, Jay. You disrespected us by calling us a wolf pack and howling. That's a disrespect. I'm a man. I'm an adult. I've got grey hairs in my beard, bro.
Me too.
Bro, we're adults here, bro. Like, stop it.
That's
disrespectful. That's unfair, disrespectful. We haven't said
Weaponize.
anything like that. Don't do that. Don't weaponize us. Don't do that. Do not do that. And what's happened? God forbid, right? If he continues with using that term wolf pack and howling and saying that we're attacking, that's gonna feed into how we're seen when we apply for a media accreditation and things like that, because it's also all a knock-on effect. It's all a knock-on effect.
Well, I feel bad about changing the logo to a wolf pack now.
Imagine if we go to the BBL, go to the league and say we want to apply to such and such for the final, blah 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 blah, right? And we get back, we get rejected, and we're thinking, what's happened? We've been there before, but then whispers, in the back are like, well, it's because they're a wolf pack and they're this and they're aggressive and like, since when? Since when? We're not. We have our opinions. We're adults. Some of us are parents. We have 9 to 5s. We're not aggressive. We're not a wolf pack, but we stand on our two. We stand on our opinion, and we're not afraid for open and honest discourse. We're not afraid of that. We want the conversation. Have a conversation.
And we'll back each other up as well.
Exactly.
That's what we
don't call us a wolf pack and don't howl. You are an adult, Jason. Stop it.
Ads, mate. Anything else to add?
I mean, that's a great word, weaponized. I mean, what we've all got to remember is this is British basketball and there's a lot of weapons around it.
Crazy.
There are a lot of weapons shared with British ball. And it is our job to... I can't be bothered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Listen.
But I think we're more like... I was just thinking, it's the Wolfpack thing. I think we're more like the Wu-Tang Clan. I think we should all come up with Wu-Tang names.
I'm the biggest Raekwon fan, so I'm gonna go with the chef.
I'm not sure where really me and Grant fit in on this.
Ghostface Killers.
Well, you be the old...
The old what?
The old dirty bastard. Old dirty bastard. Yeah.
Grant, my man.
I'm more like
to say
Method
before
Man.
we go. Method Man was awesome.
Man, I think just we get to this point where the summer's been long. We all want basketball to start.
Yeah.
We can all just we're all buzzing for. Let's be honest, Eurobasket starting this week. Brilliant. Let's all get behind that. Support GB. And you know what? If we can criticise them, let us criticise them.
Yeah,
if we want to criticise each other, we do that. Hey, we do that today. We've disagreed and stuff.
Yeah,
definitely.
If we're not allowed to do that on a podcast, and we're not allowed to, if the social media two-way comms, if we can't say stuff, whatever. But you know what? Let's just all enjoy the game we love. And if someone is trying to attack our game, not necessarily attack's the wrong word, but we can all disagree. We're all adults. We're allowed to disagree. If we behave like adults, we get on with, and we make things better. We enjoy doing things like this. Like, God, we've spent 2 and a bit hours talking about our expectations for, let's be honest, one of the most exciting leagues that we've had for years. And we're potentially all predicting it's going to be a one-horse race. When you think of the madness of that, that's me.
Nicholson, my man, who's changed his name in the... I should say this because obviously this is completely audio. Mr. Nicholson has changed his name to Ninja Paul. Good stuff.
Ninja Paul.
Fire away, Nicholson, sir.
Now, do you know what? I'm just going to go complete off topic. I'm just excited to be, in a few days' time, heading off to France to watch Pro A French basketball teams and watch Patriots go up against them. Hopefully get some good highlights, some good photos.
Read up.
Looking forward to pre-season. Time to get going. I'm ready for basketball.
Good man. I honestly thought you were going to say I'm really excited and I'm just happy to be a part of the part of this team.
Yeah, I'm kitting up.
So funny. Oh, good stuff. Right, fellas, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a longer one than I anticipated. We've still only managed to get through 5 of the teams. We'll be back next week to talk about the rest of the BBL, and I'm sure in as much detail and with as much passion as previously.
When are we gonna do a review on like these basketball films and documentaries, like more?
Listen, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
That's
because
something
like
we can definitely do.
Yeah, we should do because last night I watched the Anne One documentary.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that was good. That was good.
Do you know what though?
Because I was almost. Go ahead.
My first thing I said to my wife, I was watching it with headphones on, and rightly or wrongly, I said straight away, 3 white boy CEOs. There's no way any of these players walked away with money after this.
Facts. See, you know, as a white dude, you knew this. Like, what the fuck? I knew on the cards.
That was the end. They should have started. They should have finished with that.
Literally,
because that was where it was going. 100%. Anyway, fellas, we'll do that. We'll get onto that. No problem. I'd love to do that. Anyway, thanks at home for listening. We'll be back next week. Until then, take it easy. We will speak to you soon.
Love you.
Only war when it's jihad. See, Ali appears in Zaire to reconnect 400 years. So we the people, dark but equal, give love and such things to the man who made the fam. Remember when we were kings.